Welcome to False Flag Weekly News, the weekly news show that tells you exactly how terrible it really is. I'm Kevin Barrett with Helen Bynitsky is back. Hey, Helen, welcome.
Good to see you. Good to be back.
Great to see you too. Yeah, you got a slightly cooler background than your brick wall thing in New York. And
I like the brick wall better, but you can't always bring your brick walls with you when you leave a rapidly sinking ship.
right. Well, this is all, it almost makes it look like you're the one in the Muslim country here, right? Like I'm because yeah, Morocco has those kinds of decorations too. So here's our beautiful image of the week. An AI Epstein image I conjured up. And here are our public service announcements. Okay, don't let them cancel us. Patreon, Stripe, YouTube, and GoFundMe, among others, already have, but you can still give us money and keep us going by going to truthjihad.com and finding a way to donate. You can either click or zap or whatever you do with those Mark of the Beast thingamajigs, or you can go to the False Flag Weekly News link and that takes you to the fundraiser. And this was last week's fundraiser, and everybody really came through huge a couple of days ago. It suddenly ballooned. And so we're good to go this week, even though like early this morning it was at zero. But hopefully, actually, now I think it's at $10, and maybe you guys can help. So anyway, there's where you find it. You go to truthjihad.com, False Flag Weekly News, #1 on the story list. Click on that. You're at the fundraiser, and we're in business. And I also still have a PayPal, still have a Zelle for both of them. It's truthchat@gmail.com. Okay, those are the guys that canceled us. Here we go. Breaking news. So, Helen, what do you think? We woke up today, or I woke up today here in Morocco, to a chummy Trump Mamdani meeting. Chummy. Uh,
It doesn't surprise me at all because people thought that Mamdani was going to be the real thing. I mean, it was obvious from the get-go that he was a puppet who they were testing to see if we show that we hate someone, we meaning Jewish power, meaning the people in control of the political situation, show that we really hate someone, everyone's going to be the enemy is my friend kind of thing. So Trump knows that this is his boy because this guy is not really for the people in any way. That's why he's focusing on free buses. Okay, anyone who's lived in New York City knows that nobody pays to ride the buses anyway. So if they made them free, they wouldn't be losing that much money.
make them even freer.
Yeah, exactly. They're not actually, and the people, the rich people who are claiming they're gonna leave New York because they don't want to pay higher taxes. They don't pay taxes anyway. This is America. We don't tax our billionaires. So he's not really a man of the people at all. I mean, he's easier on the eyes than Andrew Cuomo. I'll give him that. Much better looking, and probably doesn't have quite as high a body count. I mean, Andrew Cuomo is responsible for tens of thousands of deaths of elderly people during the Corona epidemic, but this guy, I mean, he's on their side.
Yeah, you kind of got that from the here's some of the video. Oh, before I do this video, I think I do need to click some little thing here to so we can share the sound with all of you. So let's figure out how to share the sound. Here we go. Okay, let's watch this Mamdani Trump love fest here. Where's that video?
And you did a piece in all the 9 months around the world. I would like to ask Mr. Mamdani, you've accused the U.S. government of committing genocide in Gaza while President Trump was working on peace. Why that?
I've spoken about the Israeli government committing genocide, and I've spoken about our government funding it. And I shared with the president in our meeting about the concern that many New Yorkers have of wanting their tax dollars to go towards the benefit of New Yorkers and their ability to afford basic dignity.
The Zionists probably didn't really like that part so much.
Yeah,
But,
basically,
and,
they don't like basic dignity very much, at least for basic dignity for other people. They like it for themselves, but
right. And then
Are
here's
you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about.
That's okay. You can just say
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Okay. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
so yeah, he's proud of it, right?
politicians, they call each other names all the time, and at least he understands that the Mamdani understands that they know words don't have meaning in our postmodern society. You can call each other whatever you like, and it's all is fair in pro wrestling.
So you think when Trump said he's going to lock up Hillary back in 2016, he didn't really mean it?
Exactly, same thing.
Yeah,
Same.
yeah. He probably is not going to deport Mamdani either. It looks like.
No, no. And Mamdani is not going to arrest Netanyahu. As much as I would love to see that, I mean, that would make my week. But no, it's not going to happen. So
Yeah, I would only bet on that if it were like a really good odds, like long shot, like if a penny on the dollar, I would take that bet that he'll arrest Netanyahu. But that, how about Marjorie Taylor Greene resign? This was the other big breaking story today. Um, yeah, I know.
I like it.
Right. I added this subhead after Epstein related death threats, but I think, the mainstream didn't mention that.
Yeah, well, I mean, they mentioned it a couple days ago when the death threats were happening, but yeah, that's it's pretty clear. I mean, they saw what they did to Massey's wife. I mean, she had a rapid onset, sudden illness that killed her in a matter of what was it, weeks? But from well, I don't think it was even weeks. I think it was a sudden illness. And yeah, because they didn't like Massey very much, and they were trying to get him out of politics. Now he stayed because he has, I guess, a stronger spine than Marjorie Taylor Greene here. But it's clear that she understands that these threats are real, and that no matter what Trump says, oh, nobody cares about you enough to assassinate. Well, that's not true because we've seen it happen before.
Right. Yeah. And I think the Charlie Kirk thing on the eve of the 9/11 anniversary was kind of a message too.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So,
Can't help but rub it in our faces. It's the ritual humiliation thing I've been making videos about. It's
right, right.
they know
So,
that they know that we know that they know, and they're rubbing our faces in it because it makes us feel worse about our potential as humans.
right. And it just pisses me off though, really. It doesn't seem to work on me. But anyway, so there's the Al Jazeera reporting of it after the Trump clash. Here a couple of the relevant tweets. And so why did she resign? Well, she's been threatened. She's planning a political career pivot, where she realized the dark forces she's up against are too strong and the government is too corrupt, and there's nothing she can do to fix it. How about all of the above?
Yeah, I would say probably all of the above. I don't know what her career pivot would be. I doubt she has much of a future in the quote unquote security services. No Israeli think tank is going to offer her a position. But I mean, maybe she's going to give speaking tours or something. I don't know. I don't know what people do after politics when they aren't being offered jobs by Israeli affiliated think tanks.
Right. I wonder if she was sending a message by doing it on November 22nd, because she did actually go on record a while back and suggested a link between JFK's assassination and his opposition to Israel's nuclear program. And that's a no-no. Here's the tweet where she did it, right? There was once a great president that the American people loved. He opposed Israel's nuclear program, and then he was assassinated. That's not very subtle. No wonder she has to
We're
resign.
just starting to like her. It's a shame that she's leaving. I guess, yeah, this shows that this is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, well, I saw that Cynthia McKinney tweeted something about this, so I said, "Hey, my best vote." I tweeted back to Cynthia that voting for her in 2008 was the best presidential vote I ever did, and maybe she should talk to Marjorie about starting some kind of a third party ticket. I would definitely vote for that pair.
Sure. I mean, unfortunately, third parties never seem to make it anywhere near the office they're running for, but it would be in an ideal world. Yes, I would definitely vote for both of them.
Yeah, it'd be a heck of a protest vote if nothing else. So yeah, here's the kind of stuff that she was getting. Oh, what are we? Epstein. I think there's a video here. Is there? Yeah, that's
I hope whoever blows your fucking brains out records it because I would like to watch you stupid cunt. What a fucking loser you are. And Kelly and slut Ken.
so that was that's the same kind of stuff that I got back in 2006 when I was that 9/11 truth professor. And most of them are too stupid to really be threats, but
Yeah, half
you
the
never
time
know.
it's your name, right? I mean, it's like like when those pastors were going after Candace Owens and somehow got the name Owens incorrect, and it's like, okay, we're obviously
Exactly.
somebody else. Like, if you hate this person that much, you would at least know what their name is.
Right, right. Yeah, I actually pushed back against it with the email death threats by collecting them all and then putting up a side-by-side comparison of the supportive emails I got at my university email account and then the death threats. And then I headlined it "Flowers for Algernon," which was that story about like the moron who then gets some kind of a drug to make him a genius. And so he's got the way he talks in is quite different. And there was likewise a similar obvious difference in IQ between the people giving me the death threats who could barely, spell three-letter words and the people who were writing to support me. So I posted that along with screenshots with the actual email addresses of the people who sent the death threats. It's
That's
kind of
hilarious.
weird that they would do that, but and then some of them wrote to me later, like begging and whining and crying and saying, "Please take it down. It's embarrassing." He's like, "Look, if you're going to send me a freaking death threat, like it's
All of that first, especially
not the
given how
brightest
long
bulbs."
for. It's not like they don't realize the internet is forever.
Yeah, yeah. I actually should dig that up some. That'd be kind of a fun historical web page to look at, I
Yeah, how
suppose.
many of them went on to get jobs in government service?
There you go. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. So, national Epstein security. That's our theme this week. Okay. There is a national Epstein security threat out there, but our fearless elected officials and deep state people are dealing with it. So Trump signs bills to release Epstein files, but loopholes remain. Loopholes? Don't tell me there are loopholes, Helen.
More loophole than Bill, really. I mean, if they can just use a national security exemption to redact or hide anything that they feel, the whole thing was a national security matter. If you're thinking of who he worked for, I mean, how many passports did he have? A. How many of them were fronts for his Israeli identity? B. And who is the U.S.'s best friend in the Middle East that they do all kinds of crimes against humanity, including molesting young girls under? I mean, we know what's going on here.
Right. If you're blackmailing powerful people for intelligence agencies, I mean, the whole thing is national security. So what's it's going to look like? Where's that here? Before you look at that stuff, here it is. Yeah, there's what the Epstein files are going to look like there in the picture in the bottom.
Basically.
Hey, national security, man. So yeah, that's a shout out to Henry McCoe, by the way. Henry is a very cool guy. And he actually not only watches False Flag Weekly News, he actually sends money to support it. So come on, you other people, be follow his example. So here's responding to this kind of stuff.
For Congress to release the Epstein files. Why not just do it now?
It's not the question that I mind, it's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter. It's the way you ask these questions. You start off with a man who's highly respected, asking him a horrible, insubordinate, and just a terrible question. And you could even ask that.
Like, why don't you just release him yourself? What a terrible, insubordinate question. And here he is, like going off on Piggy.
Yeah, if there's nothing incriminating in the file, sir, why not saying
Quiet, Piggy. And his finger's like a millimeter from her face. Like, does this guy have textbook guilty demeanor, or am I crazy?
Yeah, it's almost like, I mean, the 5D chess people would be like, oh, he's doing that specifically to draw attention to it. Of course, we know better than that by now, but it does seem that, like, yeah, the telltale heart, the telltale finger.
Yeah, he's treating all these women, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, a lot less politely than he treats the communist Mamdani. It's kind of strange.
True, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sees more future in pretending to get along with the fake communists than in actually getting along with the fake reporter. I mean, it's not like these are reporters. They're probably the scum of the earth, but the fact that they're asking a slightly less than scum of the earth question should be rewarded, not reprimanded.
Yeah, it almost makes you think that he's the guy, he's got like some kind of anonymous email accounts and VPNs, and he's the one that's giving out some of these death threats. I mean,
certainly his buddies, if not him.
Yeah, it's obviously his buddies. I'm being a little bit facetious, but he's so out of control that you really have to wonder. So yeah, the death threats are coming in not only to Marjorie Taylor Greene, and we're going to get into all these other Congress people that, like, they put out a statement saying if you're in the American military, you shouldn't obey unconstitutional orders. And of course, Trump went bananas on that too. So there are death threats flying around like crazy here.
Yeah, it's, I mean, thinks the lady doth protest too much thing with that one. I mean, it's like,
no kidding.
You're admitting you give unconstitutional orders? Like, that's a little weird.
Yeah. Between that and Epstein, the guilty demeanor and lady protesting too much is going off the charts. And then here, this is the Epstein victims are getting death threats, because they're talking about actually going in Congress and reading under congressional immunity, reading the names of all these guys that Epstein trafficked them to, who don't exist according to Kash Patel, right? Kash Patel is on the record, like saying, well, who did he traffic the girls to? And Patel says, nobody. Seriously? He trafficked them to himself? Yeah. Like, what?
All those videos were just him watching porn. Yeah, sure, dude. Sure. He needed rooms full of audiovisual equipment so that he could watch porn by himself of women he didn't know. What? No.
Yeah, Kash Patel is going to apparently get a surprise, I guess, if these Epstein victims ever do get to go in Congress and read off those names. Then there's the Henry McCoe tweet that I referenced earlier. And, Henry points out it's about Israeli control of the United States through a bribing and blackmailing program, which is the part that the mainstream usually doesn't want to tell you.
Yeah, ritual humiliation. Basically, they're rubbing our faces in the fact that our politicians and our national leaders are all sexually compromised, and sexually compromised in such a blatant, obvious way. I mean, it's not like Epstein was a particularly like suave, clever. Like reading his emails, he doesn't come off like a very intelligent person at all. Honestly, I mean,
Yeah, I don't think he really was. I mean, it looks like he was kind of a garden variety, guy who got this job teaching math at a girls' school.
he was promoted above his capability so as to make him easier to control, as in the case with many of these operatives. It makes them helpless at their handler's whim.
But he was really, really good at seducing teenage girls. So he had a talent, and that's what they used him for. So suddenly he's supposedly an investment guy with $1 billion in the bank that Les Wexner and his mega group friends gave him. And the rest is history. It's sort of like Trump. I mean, Trump's not that intelligent either, but he has a gift of gab.
Promoted behind his abilities.
Right. Yeah. And Trump seduces people through TV, like, maybe not teenage girls the way Epstein did, but, that gift of gab, I guess, can, lead you to being a pretty good frontman for the Zionists in both cases. Well, here's the national security moms who are also now getting death threats. Like everybody's getting national security related death threats these days. I'm actually kind of jealous. I haven't had any good death threats now I think the last ones were like 2012 or 13 or something. It's been like over a decade since I had a good death threat. But the national security moms are getting them. Yeah.
I think that they're just spread so thin now that every enemy of Israel is must be killed. Their list is so long because I mean anybody with a soul is an enemy of Israel at this point. So the list is pretty long. They'll get to us eventually.
Yeah, I think it's like 2/3 of the TikTok users now are like eligible for Israeli assassination. Uh, so, so these are the national security moms, according to Ken Klippenstein. Uh, and Trump says that them signing on to this thing, a bunch of Congress people, and then these CIA Congress people are all, saying don't obey unconstitutional orders. We want to protect real national security. And then Trump is responding, seditious behavior, punishable by death.
The lady doesn't protest too much. I mean, you could just go along and say, well, no, you're unconstitutional. I mean, it would be childish and stupid sounding, but it would be better than, well, no, we like our unconstitutional orders. Go away.
Yeah, it's really like a reality show at this point. And hopefully there won't be that many of these people who actually do get Charlie Kirked. But here's this rep. I think this was the guy actually who the threat that I played with the Marjorie Taylor Greene picture actually was, I think, directed at this guy. I just happen to have a tape of that threat, so I just played it to illustrate there. Full disclosure.
Well, chances are they're the same people that are doing the threats. I mean,
pretty much. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I guess you have to encourage troops to obey illegal orders rather than to refuse them.
Doing for the last what? How long has been the war on terror? 25 years. That's been unconstitutional order after unconstitutional order, and going back further than that because we didn't declare all those wars beforehand either. So that's pretty unconstitutional.
Yeah. Right. Well, I remember doing this like that.
Right now has obeyed an unconstitutional order at some point.
Yeah, I remember back in 2005 and 6 pushing this issue regarding 9/11 and the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. And like Bob Bowman, Colonel Bob Bowman, who was this great guy who was big in the 9/11 truth movement back then. He'd been the head of the SDI Star Wars program under Ford and Carter, and then resigned in protest because that whole program was about first strike capability. And he became a 9/11 truther. He said he knew 5 minutes after 9/11 pretty much that it couldn't have happened that way, that the air defense response was totally, that story was insane. Anyway, so Bob Bowman started telling military people, hey, I quit. You guys should, I mean, don't obey constitutional orders. Going to Iraq is unconstitutional. But Bush didn't do stuff like this. I mean, only Trump is going to tell you that you're going to get punished by death for that.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's just saying the quiet part out loud. It's like you never think that Bush would be the more strategic of any two people, but somehow, Trump plumbs the depths of what is possible in terms of putting your foot in your mouth.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I thought Bushisms were bad enough, but Trumpisms are even crazier. And so this drop site news, along with the Gray Zone, has been doing good work on these issues. Drop site in particular, they were actually there was a special. Like an hour-long show with drop site journalists on Al Mayadeen TV, which is a really good Arabic network. And so I highly recommend it. Way better than Al Jazeera.
Show on their network before.
Yeah, yeah. They're quite good. Dr. Mike Springman, who often is on False Hollywood News, appears pretty regularly in Al Mayadeen. But anyway, so here's drop site's story on Epstein and his intelligence connection. So this is the stuff that the mainstream is not so interested in. And so here's this. This was all from the released emails and documents from Congress this week. And so Epstein is a big player pressuring powerful people all over the world, mostly on behalf of Israel, of course.
Pretty much all on behalf of Israel. I mean, he's buddied up with Barak, introducing Ehud Barak to all of these like tin pot dictators or wannabe tin pot dictators. Not in this case of India, but there's the one in Africa. Where was it? Cote d'Ivoire.
Mhm.
The guy who wanted to basically be president for life, and they had to suppress the uprising with the help of Israeli weaponry. Basically, anywhere in the world where there's either a like tin pot regime trying to maintain control for decades and decades, or one trying to gain control so that it can be maintained for decades and decades, there is probably an Epstein slash Barak finger in that pie.
Right. And yeah, of course, Barack turns out to be like not just some guy who like once visited Jeffrey Epstein, but is like totally probably either his controller or very close to being his controller.
And
Uh,
also an extreme sadist. If you read about what he did to Virginia Giuffre, I mean, yikes.
yeah, right. That was completely crazy. Former prime minister, and the mainstream media is really kind of trying to go easy on that so that most people don't understand that story. That's like the ugliest story out of the whole Epstein scandal. And you would think it'd be in the front page big headlines, but no, it's Israel. We got to protect
But I
Israel.
had to dig to even find out what it was that her report on Barack was like. I mean, I would think that would be front page. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So Ehud Barak is a vicious, sadistic rapist of little girls, and but by Israeli standards, it's probably pretty much par for the course.
Well, they think rape is self-defense. I mean, you know what they did with that Palestinian in the prison, and the whole country stood up in defense of this soldier who raped a Palestinian prisoner because it was self-defense. Like seriously,
Yeah,
this is our best friend in the Middle East. Okay, I got you.
yeah. He was really the victim. You know, this teenage girl that he brutally raped was really it was her
If
fault.
he had to do,
That's right. She was probably anti-Semitic anyway. Uh, So how about Prince Andrew, or the Andrew formerly known as Prince, we should say? It turns out that it wasn't just a little royal scandal about some royal family guy who fancied young women, but there's a whole intelligence angle to that too, as the Gray Zone is reporting.
yeah, I mean, well, this is the problem with royal inbreeding. You get real stupid people like Prince Andrew who are just willing to spill all the national guts to Epstein in exchange for some help procuring young prostitutes. Well, not young prostitutes, young girls that he turns into prostitutes. But yeah, like what 12-year-olds, and Epstein being shocked that about his own scandalous exploits. It's like, I thought I was a perv, but you're really a perv. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Hey, can I have some more of those national secrets, please?
I mean, these people are really so pathetic. Like, why can't we overthrow them? I mean, this Andrew, formerly known as Prince, is obviously even less of a super bright bulb than people like Epstein and Trump and Bush. And there are a lot of these people who are really barely even mediocre in these high positions.
Either
Yeah.
they're promoted beyond their competence, or in the royal family, they're inbred beyond their competence, and they prop up these complete losers so that they're easily controllable. And it's the whole ritual humiliation element. It's like rubbing these people in our faces, saying, "Look, this is the best you can do. You're no better than this. This is the best you can aspire to." And a lot of people they internalize that, even if they don't realize it on a conscious level. They think, "Oh, well, this we get the government we deserve, and we're a democracy, so we must have asked for this." It's the same thing as like the grooming that they do in the Epstein ring. Like the girls go in, they get money, and they think, oh well, we must have asked for this because we wanted to get money, and then they bring in other girls and they become complicit in their own oppression. It's the same thing. We're being groomed nationally with these complete retards running our government.
But it's strange how there are countries that seem to have competent leaders, like Putin, for example, and Xi, and even Kim Jong Un, and certainly the supreme leader of Iran. I mean, this is the axis of evil, but they're all competent leaders. And then looking across the good guy West, democracies, freedom, and all of that, it's these blackmailed perverts, with barely three-digit IQs. Like, what's with that?
That's the thing. They don't like competence because they can't control competent leaders. I mean, Putin's not going to drop everything and decide to sacrifice his country because a few bankers want to make some extra money. I mean, that's not a thing. Neither is Xi or the supreme leader of Iran, or even Kim Jong Un. As much as he enjoys Western cultural pastimes, I don't think he's going to throw away his whole country because somebody dangled a little thing in front of his face.
Yeah, so it's the Zionist oligarchy, stupid, right? The oligarchs need to be able to control and buy and sell the politicians, and that's what they do in the West, and that's really why people with people of goodwill who understand what's going on should probably be cheering for the other side. So how about Jeffrey Epstein and the Rothschilds? Oh my goodness! I think if you even say the name Rothschild, you're anti-Semitic. But it turns out that Ehud Barak and all those people that are working with Epstein are tight with the Rothschilds as well. I'm shocked,
Yeah,
shocked.
I never would have guessed that one.
Yeah. So this again was from Drop Site.
Funny, though, that even like the powerful Jews will even try to rip each other off. It's not just they're trying to rip off the goy. They'll try to go after each other if they think that they can get something out of it. It is literally rats still deserting a sinking ship.
Yeah, well, it sure looks
It's
like
unkind to rats. I shouldn't say that. Rats are.
yeah, unfair to rats. Call the Humane Society, Animal Protection League, the Anti-Rat Defamation League. There probably is one of those. And speaking of rats, yeah, here's Barak and Boris Kolardi, former CIO of this Rothschild bank, in an Ehud Barak email.
You can tell just by looking at Barack's face that he's an evil piece of shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It looks like a serial killer, man.
right. Yeah, I wouldn't want him anywhere near my sister or daughter or anything like that. That's for sure. Um, and here's some of the other stuff from these leaked Epstein emails, Epstein, Ehud Barak, etc. It looks like they have a whole map here of like the cables that they can tap into to listen, or intercept communications. SIGINT, they call it, high-speed optical cable, clandestine or cooperative large accesses. So they got special access.
Redacted names on there. I mean, what? Trying to read. Yeah, can't. Wonder what all those redacted names are. Let's say.
Yeah, that's it. Like, and why are they redacted? That's very strange. In any case,
This location. So I mean, it's not like we don't know. We can look on the map and have a general idea where they are, but I guess they feel like there's something to hide there. I mean, you can read the emails from the previous article, like Barack salivating about the possibility of tapping into all these cables and stuff. And I'm sure they have by now.
well, I guess we need to have vicious pervert rapists like Barack and Epstein and stuff running our national security. Like, I feel much more secure knowing that they're the ones who get to intercept all of our communications and control them.
I only feel safe if there's at least two pervs reading every email I send.
There you go. And how about Ariane de Rothschild? She's, I don't know, one of those Rothschild heirs, and I guess they said allegedly here for some reason. I'm pretty sure that's her. I don't know. I don't know her personally. How about you, Helen?
I don't know her personally, but at least the thing said it was her. I don't know why they would like put somebody else there and then claim it was her, because that's a pretty easy thing to fact check. But unless it's one of those things where like the picture of Prince Andrew and Virginia Giuffre, where Andrew's like, no, that's a fake photo, and it's like so obvious that it's not a fake photo. They didn't have, yeah. But I think that's if they say it's her, it's probably her.
So yeah, we do have a lot of Rothschild links now to Epstein, these emails. And let's see, here's some of the emails, which this is Ehud Barak to Jeffrey Epstein. And I mean, you can go to the articles and read them. Just go to the False Flag Weekly News list, and you can go to the Drop Site News article, and you can read these yourself. We're not going to read every one, but it's yeah, you're right, Helen, that they don't really sound like super cultured, intelligent people. Anyway, we finally got to JFK Day, and it's the 22nd of November. It's JFK Day, so happy, I guess, JFK Day, Helen.
Happy JFK Day to you. We're still no closer to the people who did it admitting they did it, but they're never going to. So I wasn't really expecting anything there.
Yeah, well, I thought Marjorie Taylor Greene was kind of barking up the right tree there, but so here's the RT story about a new leak about the CIA officials boasting about tricking Congress during the 1978, I think it was, House assassinations investigation that found that in fact it was a conspiracy, but we're just not quite sure who did it. We think there were some mafiosi.
It's like that Spider-Man meme where everyone's pointing at the other one and it's all the same. It's like, well, y'all are working for the same people. Come on.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize this, though, that this is actually the official U.S. government position is that it was indeed a conspiracy that probably involved organized crime. That's the official position because that was the 78 investigation, which revised the findings of the Warren Commission. But the media keeps, telling people that
They still refer to it as Lee Harvey Oswald did the whole damn thing himself.
yeah, Oswald acted alone. Yeah. They somehow kept that as the official story, even though the U.S. government's position changed officially. But whatever. Okay, well, oh, and we did mention the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing. It was kind of interesting that she resigned right on November 22nd, and maybe she'll come back next.
That being the message. I mean, she could have picked any day to resign, that's for sure, especially given that she'd been sitting on her ass for the last, whatever, 8 weeks that they were out of session.
Yeah, yeah. So uh, go Marjorie. That was a good last message to send from Congress. All right, we finally got to the peace process. And a lot of this stuff is really about this genocide of Palestine. I mean, it's keeping that going is kind of the bottom line of all of this corruption of the American government. And so this week in the ceasefire, this was just one day's worth. In one day, there were more than 21.
They can't
Yeah,
stop bombing for just one day. It's they like they have some sort of like extreme addiction to murdering children and civilians, and like this entire ceasefire has been a complete farce. Yet, ask any American person, and they'll very likely say, "Oh, it's so great that they finally reached a ceasefire and the war is over." Yeah, sure.
right. So instead of killing 100 kids a day, they kill 20 a day. That's the ceasefire from for a Zionist. So there was an article from Jeffrey Sachs pointing out that this peace process is U.S. colonialism, but of course the U.S. is colonized by the Zionist crime gang or the ethnic Jewish mafia or kosher nostra, if you will. So it's kind of it's a little tricky to describe precisely who is colonizing whom, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's multiple levels of colonization. I mean, you have a parasite and a host, and then the host is the colonial entity, but being parasitized by the parasite is the transitive property of parasitization, I guess you would call it.
Right.
I know it's a mouthful, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
That,
think
that article is definitely correct in terms of, I mean, I can't believe that anybody would go for that, but I guess they have to save face, as they mentioned, because like literally every other country is recognizing Palestine as a state, and it's about damn time.
yeah, if you use the parasite host metaphor, I think you have to be a little more specific and say, well, it's not really like a tick, for example. If you have a tick, you can like, oh, I have a tick, and you could pull it off and throw it away. Or a flea, maybe you might even be able to get, but if it's like toxoplasmosis and it gets into your brain and it controls your brain and it makes you a friend of cats, maybe that's why I like my cat so much. Or it makes
It's like there's a specific kind of parasitizing wasp that gets into a spider and it
yeah.
lays eggs in its brain, and then the brain it becomes controlled, and so it makes the wasp makes itself a nest to spiders basically, and or the nest a nest in, I'm sorry, I got that backwards. It makes the spider a nest to wasps.
Mhm.
And it makes it act very much not according to its normal behavior pattern. And that's
Exactly.
what's being done here. And the America is not acting like a normal country that would be interested in self-preservation or bettering the lives of its citizens. It's interested in basically splaying itself wide open and saying, Israel, take all my resources, take all my tax dollars, take everything, including my dignity, which I don't have much left of anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a brain-eating parasite. And speaking of brain-eating parasites,
כל עזה וכל ילד בעזה צריך למות מרעב. אני לא מרחם על מי שבעוד כמה שנים יגדל ולא ירחם עלינו.
so yeah, these people they don't really.
הדבר הזה, היה לנו הזדמנות פז למחוק את הסיפור הזה שנקרא עזה. היינו צריכים להיכנס כל יום להרוג להם 100,000, 150,000, עד שלא חוזרים לפה. לא, העולם היה איתנו. מה העולם היה?
He thinks they're not killing enough. And here's
How many civilians have been killed in Gaza, from what you know?
Who gives a shit?
Okay, but don't you feel like, for example, children?
Children grow up to be Arabs. I shouldn't say this.
I shouldn't say this. Oh boy, they're always the victims. Yeah.
Of course, they cry out in pain as they strike you. I mean, it's kind of their thing.
Yep. And so there's truth to that old proverb. And here's Natalie Stricker, who's being charged in the UK for simply repeating a truism from international law, which is that occupied peoples have the right to use force to resist occupation. And for that, she's being tried as a supporter of proscribed terrorist groups because anybody who resists Zionist occupation has been proscribed as a terrorist.
Well, that's one way to get ideas you don't like out of the mainstream. I mean, yeah, I can't believe the UK has gone that far in that direction, but I guess that's what happens when you disarm your citizens.
And of course, she's like, I guess they're getting her for supposedly supporting resistance, but a whole like thousands of people, most of them like really old people, have gotten arrested for holding these little placards that say "I support Palestine Action." And Palestine Action is just a protest group that goes on. They'll like pour blood on the genocide weapons or whatever, but they don't hurt anybody. So thousands and thousands of people. It's crazy.
Cops over there are not going to pick on people their own size. Of course, they're going to go after the elderly and otherwise defenseless. And that's the problem again when you disarm your citizenry. They're all defenseless, and the UK's been disarmed for a long ass time.
Yeah, yeah. It's just Magna Carta and all that stuff, that great glorious history of freedom in the UK. It seems to be coming to an inglorious end. Well, the narrative war is raging, and over in Ireland, it's hard.
Can I get a God bless America?
Absolutely not. Fuck Trump. Free Palestine. I lived in America for 4 years. Fuck America.
Why?
Fuck Trump.
But you lived there. You didn't like it when you lived there?
No.
Why not?
Your policies are so fucked up.
Yeah. Wait, I have one question.
Don't say it.
What? Could I get a God bless America?
No, fuck. Free Palestine. Fuck Donald Trump. Free Palestine.
Okay, so the narrative wars are not going so well over in Ireland.
I'll say, good for them.
And Sarah Hurwitz.
This article is ridiculous. Oh my god!
Isn't this great? Yeah. So this is actually a Mediaite, totally mainstream article that was broadcast by Yahoo News, and it still has a headline that's almost like something I would write as satire, right? Ex-Obama aide says Holocaust education is confusing young people into sympathizing with weak, skinny Palestinians. I mean, that's the news, not the satire.
How dare you sympathize with the oppressed? No, we just have to be able to keep switching sides as many times as we need.
Right. I guess what we're going to have to do is switch the Holocaust story and make the supposed gas chamber perpetrators the good guys. That's what we're going to have to do.
Yeah, because we want the guys who are running the show. They're the wholesome, the guys who are on the side of all the industrialists, right? Yeah, that's the one.
And the word, her choice of words is so hilarious. She thinks that we made a very smart bet on Holocaust education to serve as anti-Semitism education, but it's starting to break down. So are they going to? You think they're going to tear down all our Holocaust museums?
Oh no, they're just going to revise them a little bit and put Palestinians in charge of the gas chambers. They say, oh yeah, well actually there was all these Palestinians in the Nazi regime. I shouldn't give them ideas. They're probably going to do that now.
That's right. Yeah, they'll blame the Mufti of Jerusalem.
To say that the Palestinians collaborated with the Nazis. No, it was the Rothschilds who collaborated with the Nazis on the whole Havara effort.
Right, of course. Yeah, that's another story they're probably not going to put in their museums too much. And yeah, she says when she tries to make arguments in favor of Israel, she realizes she's talking through a wall of dead children. And the problem with that, of course, is not that they're murdering all those children, but that makes it harder for her to.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a problem as long as the children were not known about. It would be fine. We just keep murdering them, keep shoveling them into a hole, and hope nobody notices. I mean, the fact that people are still quoting such low numbers in terms of how many are dead when the vast majority are buried underneath rubble, and they're like, how do you know there's so many buried underneath rubble? Well, because nobody's gone and dug them up. I mean, you kind of know that's what happens when you blow up entire city blocks.
Right. Well, there are mass graves being dug up right now in Gaza, and they are finding some of these mass graves where the Zionists like tortured people before executing them. And I guess that makes it harder for people like her to support that kind of stuff. And also she goes back and says that basically Jews it's always the fault of the Goyim that Jews have done all these bad things because the Goyim make the Jews do the bad things.
Cry out in pain as they strike you. Yes, of course.
They're forced to control Hollywood, and they used to be
grabbing somebody's arm and whacking them with it and saying, stop hitting yourself, stop hitting yourself.
Right. Back in the old days, I guess they were forced, they weren't allowed to do things like hard scrabble, peasant farming. And so they were forced to take up these onerous occupations like being wealthy users and things like that.
Yeah, controlling all the money supply and renting and being rentiers. And we really wanted to just pick cotton in the fields with y'all, but we decided, we didn't want to, you wouldn't let us get our hands dirty.
Yeah, it's so that was who Obama hired to write speeches. Okay. Caitlin Johnstone had some good comments about it. We'll defer to her. Trump nominee Kaplan promotes education as key to fighting Jew hatred. So this is from one of those Jewish magazines. And I fixed it. Okay, promotes education is key to fighting Jew hatred. I fixed it. Promotes hatred is key to fighting Jew education. Like, because that's what they're doing is they're like hating on everything. They're just like getting very, very angry and hateful as they lose control of the narrative.
Well, yeah, it's the child who throws the game board across the room when they realize they're losing. They realize they have absolutely no basis to stand on morally, intellectually, or anything else other than based on cultural superstition and hatred.
Right. And yeah, this European Jewish Association, he actually resembles the landlord, the New York landlord. I did a little 7-minute video last week on that New York whatever investor, whatever he was, who swindled a long list of people out of their houses and finally got busted for it.
To fit that description, how did you pick one?
Right. Yeah. Well, I guess it was kind of an all too typical New York Times story, but it was pretty hilarious, because it came with a full photo of the courtroom. There were like zillions of the hats in the courtroom. Like all of the rabbis came out to support this guy who'd stolen dozens of people's homes through fraud. But anyway, so Steve Bannon defects for MAGA. Well, you're telling us that's fake news, Helen?
That is a fake story. Yeah, they showed they spliced together some clips of him with that words were cut up to make it sound like he's saying things he's not actually saying, and then some clips of Candace Owens denouncing Israel, and then trying to make it like it was an interview with Candace Owens. There was no Steve Bannon interview with Candace Owens. It's a completely fake story. I wish it was, but Steve Bannon has got so many like emails back and forth with Jeffrey Epstein. I think it's his damage control from Bannon's people right now, if anything.
Ah, there you go, muddying the waters. So if we ever get anything on him, they'll just say, "Oh, that was fake too."
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So hey, Henry McCoo, I think posted this. So Henry, you gotta watch your stories more carefully.
Get a better AI watch because
yeah. These days it's getting hard to tell. So how about the Nick and Tuck show? Nick and Tucker, Ticker and Knuckle, Nick and Tucker. They're there. And the Washington Post here is really upset that that Tucker Carlson interviewed Fuentes, and then Trump went and defended him. My God, the anti-Semitic white nationalism is a thing now, even in the White House. What's with that?
Well, Nick Fuentes is a Fed, so I mean that's why they're promoting him so hard, especially since.
Did you say he was a fag or a Fed?
A Fed.
A Fed, okay.
He is also, I mean, I don't like to use that word, but
no, I wouldn't think so.
He's a self-hating homosexual, let's call him.
I thought he was a nice Catholic boy who wanted to marry a nice Catholic girl and settle down.
Likes other nice Catholic boys. Yes, that's what he is.
Wow. I don't know. I'm not casting aspersions. I don't know anything about him. And most of what he says looks pretty good to me, but every now and then he says crazy stuff.
As soon as he opens his mouth and starts talking about the Charlie Kirk assassination and then saying that Candace Owens and Max Blumenthal are all Russian agents, and that his ideas of like what constitutes proper conspiracy theory are a little warped, let's say. But he fully believes the FBI story about this Tyler Robinson apparently killing Charlie Kirk because he's had a trans lover or whatever, and like this idiotic story that nobody believes. And yeah, so I think he got a payoff from Israel and then that's why he suddenly erupted into mainstream fame after the Charlie Kirk assassination, was because he got this payout and to stand behind the official story, because they've realized that they were severely lacking in credibility thanks to Kash Patel being an utterly inept like joke of a human being who constantly looks like he's got an electrified rod stuffed up his ass. Like the bug eye thing is just like, I mean, I can't even do bug eyes that big. But yeah, the Tyler Robinson as Charlie Kirk killer, and Nick Fuentes is standing by that story and getting featured on every mainstream news outlet with very kind discussion too. Like they're not calling him a piece of shit, white nationalist, evil, whatever thing that they used to do. It's almost like Trump saying, "Oh, it's okay for Tucker to sit down with him," was the green light for them all to like the guy now, and it's pretty clear that he's not what he seems.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure of that, but I'm certainly open to that strong possibility. It's weird that not only they actually started promoting him before Charlie Kirk was shot. There's a big New York Times story that was ridiculously, shockingly friendly. Yeah, right, like the week before.
Yeah, that's true. But then it really erupted afterwards when, as soon as he jumped on Tyler Robinson acted alone. Anyone else who thinks otherwise is a plant of Russia or whatever. Like that doesn't make any sense. Why would Russia have anything to do with the Charlie Kirk assassination anyway? That doesn't Like,
Hmm.
and as anybody knows, Fuentes was trying to say that Charlie Kirk supported Israel up until his death, which is not true. I mean, Candace Owens has the receipts on that, at least. I don't necessarily trust Candace Owens for everything. She's got her own sketchy background, but I think she's right on the Charlie Kirk stuff. This was like one of her best friends that was murdered, so she's sticking up for him by trying to find out who actually killed the guy.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, I think either Fuentes needs some advisors who know more about conspiracy theories than he does. But he's a pretty smart guy, so he should be able to figure this out. So, yeah, it is a little suspicious.
I think he's deliberately being not figuring it out. I
Yeah,
don't think he's that stupid that he would go along with the FBI story just because he believes it. I don't think that's. I think he got bought.
could be, could be. And there's still he's getting plenty of publicity now, and there's all kinds of it's a big media storm. More death threats. We've had a sub theme of a lot of death threats during this show. So supposedly Tucker is the one getting the death threats now. Um, and then this Mark Levine guy really went crazy. He's the one who's like tearing his hair out that the Jews are losing control of the narrative because you're going to kill us, you're going to get rid of us. And Tucker talked back to him a little bit. Here's Levine talking about the Marxists, the Islamists, the neo-Nazis, the grifters. I don't know where they're pulling us and pushing us. What do they want to do with American Jews? What do they want to do? Where are they taking this country? They're destroying it. Carlson, Owens, Kelly Bannon. And let me educate them briefly. The Babylonians couldn't kill the Jews. The Persians couldn't kill the Jews. The Romans couldn't kill the Jews. Hitler couldn't kill the Jews. And by this, I mean eliminate them. Do you think your puny little asses are going to be able to do it? So, like, what's this guy smoking or snorting or whatever? And like, Kellen, am I missing them? It sounds like he just basically threw Hitler in there with a bunch of other, Hitler's genocide with a bunch of other mythological Jewish genocides.
Yeah, it's the classic example of what Gilad Atzmon calls pre-traumatic stress disorder. Like he's so convinced that somebody out there is trying to kill him, and yeah, you would think that there would be some sort of substance-induced psychosis, but no, he's just got this cultural psychosis in his head that hey, everyone hates you and wants to kill you for no reason, so let's start acting in ways that will cause everyone to want to hate and kill you.
Right. Yeah. So every Jewish holiday is the same. They tried to kill us. We killed them first. Let's eat. Right. But here he's admitting that like Hitler is just another one, right? I mean, it's like all of these mythological stories about the Pharaoh wanted to kill all the Jewish children, and the Persian king or advisor wanted to, but Esther saved the day. And all these are all totally mythological. There's no historical evidence for any of this stuff, and he throws Hitler in this list of mythological stories of wanting to kill the Jews. I mean, that kind of tells you something.
I doubt he meant it like that, but you never know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's conscious of it. I think this is all operating like in the reptile brain or something. And these guys seem to have like extra large reptile brains.
Oh yeah, they got reptile brains on steroids for sure. Like I said, they culturally condition each other to believe that around every corner is lurking some anti-Semite with a tire iron ready to cave their heads in, and it's like while they themselves create the anti-Semites by behaving in such repulsive manners. I mean, this Mark Levin guy, I had a Jewish friend actually who before October 7th was wondering why Mark Levin was so pushing the war in Ukraine. And I tried to explain it tactfully to my friend who was Jewish. I didn't want to say just because he's Jewish, because that's obviously more complicated. That my friend didn't support the war in Ukraine. He had a sane geopolitical outlook, let's say. But it's like he's culturally implicated in pushing this need to divide and conquer, and this need to have this ancestral hatred of the Russian people and all this. So it's hard to explain to somebody like that who doesn't see it. But to me, it seems pretty obvious what his motivations are.
Yeah. Well, I think, that you can sometimes talk with the not so tribalistic Jews and say, like, hey, your brother-in-law who's like, super Zionist and stuff, right? There is this tribalism thing in the tribe, isn't there? And a lot of them get it.
That's how I was trying to explain it, but I definitely wasn't coming up with the right words, and he remained confused as to why Mark Levin, who's otherwise quote unquote a smart guy, I don't even know if that is necessarily the case. I mean, I don't think he's an idiot, but I don't think he's
cunning, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of hard to figure out. There's certainly, Jews are supposed to be good at PR, but this whole genocide was not the world's smartest PR stunt. So moving on to the war in Russia, you did
having not to deliver on they've gotten lazy. Like I wrote in a long time ago with that essay on the Sorcerer's Apprentice effect, is that generations ago their PR people set in motion this complicated campaign that worked for a really long time, but because it worked so well, they never had to learn how to do the propaganda campaigns. And so now that the first propaganda campaign is finally cracking up on the iceberg that it sailed into 80 years ago, now they're finding that they don't know how to make the propaganda campaign work, and so they're stuck.
Yeah, they need to pivot to something different, I think. And probably the best pivot would just be a pivot away from, ultra ethnocentric tribalism. But
Yeah, that's
I
a good
guess
idea.
that's asking too much. So moving on to the war on Russia, we have a U.S. peace plan. And a lot of the usual suspects are whining and complaining that this is too friendly to Russia. Russia's going to get too much. They're going to keep most of what they took, and pretty much everything they took, plus and then some. No NATO, no NATO in Ukraine, some kind of limit on the Ukrainian military, and so on and so forth. Here's Simplicius's analysis of the military situation, which is driving this U.S. peace plan, which is really pretty much a Ukrainian surrender, wouldn't you say?
Well, it's about time. I mean, the Ukraine is not going to win. If anything more is just feeding their citizens into a meat grinder, you would think that the people would force the government out by now. I guess they're afraid of their sons getting kidnapped in vans and sent to the front line or whatever. But yeah, this war is not going to be won by Ukraine at any time soon, and the sooner it's over, the better.
And here's some of the details in the Simplicius, who I highly recommend as somebody looking at the sort of nuts and bolts and details and logistics of this war. He points out there was this false flag thing this week that the Ukrainian side, the diehards, really need a big false flag to really try to rally the whole West to come in there big time, because otherwise they're all lined up to lose. So they got these guys who had sabotaged a railway in Poland that could be construed as an attack on a NATO country, thereby in Article 5, all of NATO's at war, quick, bomb Moscow, end the world. Okay, that's a great idea. And they caught these guys who did it. It was Ukrainians. So
yeah, exactly. The fact that this is a good article because it's got several of these NATO representatives, the Estonian and whoever, saying that we need another Pearl Harbor. It's like, well, that didn't go so well last time.
Yeah. Yeah. We need a terrorist attack on the scale of 9/11, says the former president of Estonia.
They don't know how that worked out last time.
It's pretty shameless, really. I mean, calling for a new 9/11. And then here's Donald Tusk, the Polish president, talking about this unprecedented act of sabotage. And it's all, of course, the Russians, even though it was actually Ukrainians that did it. There's his tweet. He says, "Oh well, it was Ukrainians, but we know that it was really the Russian secret services behind it." Okay.
They were being controlled by Russia because Russians have brain parasites inside all Ukrainians.
There you go. And the media is, I mentioned, a lot of the media, the pro-war media, is very unhappy with Trump's peace plan. But there are exceptions. There are media outlets that actually admit that the war is pretty hopeless. And here's a selection.
Yeah. Well, I think they're finally realizing that if we want to get to Israel to have enough weapons, we have to stop sending them to Ukraine because we're running out.
Right. So
what it is. But I'm glad to see there's some daylight breaking through these people's delusions.
Indeed. And the Financial Times here is proposing that there's now a scramble for Europe. That's, of course, play on the scramble for Africa of the late 19th century, when suddenly all the European countries were divvying up influence in Africa, colonizing it. Well, now are Russia and China going to be divvying up Europe? I don't think it's quite reached that point, but we're getting there.
Europeans would be lucky for that to happen. Right now, they're a colony of the United States, and that's not working out very well for them at all.
That's true. If you're a colony, you might as well be colonized by people with competent leadership.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, right now, the fact that they've forced them to shut off energy coming from Russia with the pipeline that they blew up, the cost of living has gone through the roof in Europe, and so I would think that they would prefer to be in line with like the Chinese or the Russians, someone who can actually build bridges and build better infrastructure. I mean, China's innovating all kinds of stuff with power plants and shit that we can't do. So, I mean, I would rather be in the Chinese sphere of influence personally.
Yeah, Europe didn't really need to reach this point. I mean, Europe technically could actually be the single most powerful pole, or maybe tied with China as the most powerful pole in the world if they were competently run.
If they just decided to ally with Russia instead of allying with the United States, then yeah, they could definitely give China a run for their money if they decided to go up against China, which I still think would be a suicidal thing to do given the amount of industrial output that China has that is just not equaled by anywhere else in the world. But it's possible to be friends with them. They're not a nuclear psychopath like we are.
Yeah, it seems like there is some kind of a self-destruct will or a death wish in these European leaders because they're really
Brain parasite that
there. You go, the brain parasite, right?
the wasp that lays eggs in the spider, and we are the spider.
Right. And so maybe it is that same old parasite, the same one that has taken control of the American brain, has controlled the European brain to make them slaves of the Americans who are slaves of the usual suspects. And that probably is the explanation. Oh, well. So they've got to go up against China because China has public banking. They keep their oligarchs under control. They occasionally even execute oligarchs, like Putin does, only more so. And they try to enforce a no corruption policy where people with piles of money can't just buy power the way they can in the West. And for that reason, they have to be dealt with. And how are they going to be dealt with? Well, through Taiwan. Let's make Taiwan the new Ukraine. So getting out of Ukraine, but moving into Taiwan. Is that what's happening here, do you think, Helen?
That's kind of what it looks like. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not just they need to save the weapons for Israel, they need to save them for Taiwan too, because I mean, they realize that the Ukraine war is not going so well and that they still need to have a world war. And the only other possible party that they can start a world war with will be China. So they have to make good on their premise to menace China. It's
right. So yeah, this week the U.S. just dumped, I think, 2 huge new weapon sales on Taiwan. I don't know if I mentioned, yeah, I didn't get the story about Japan, but the Japanese prime minister basically threatened China and said that Japan will go to war to defend independent Taiwan. And there, of course, is no independent Taiwan. It's part of China. Everybody accepts. But now Japan's on board with this thing, so it's looking kind of crazy.
She didn't take long, did she? She just got in, right?
Yeah.
The one that everyone thought was so like based and awesome. Yeah, right. Sure, I saw that one coming.
Yeah. She's a nationalist as opposed to a globalist.
Nationalist, quote unquote, like Georgia Maloney, right? Yeah, nationalist,
exactly.
Real nationalist.
Yeah, or Trump for that matter. So how about the war in Venezuela? This is my prediction for the next big war, I think. More bad war news. This week, there were 2 huge apparent sabotage attacks on Venezuelan oil production facilities, including this one at the Petro Sereno oil upgrader. And this is just the latest from just hours ago. I think I grabbed a screenshot now it's 2 hours old, this story. The FAA has issued a 90-day warning of a potential risk to aircraft at all altitudes over Venezuela. So now all of the commercial aircraft are avoiding Venezuela. That's a bad sign.
Yeah, that's not good. No, they're definitely trying to do Venezuela because they figure Venezuela can't fight back. And I hope Venezuela surprises them in that case, but I don't know how much of weapons they've been able to acquire from Russia or China or anyone else who should be doing their best to arm them right now.
Yeah, well, I hope they have some good anti-ship weapons because that's the great equalizer these days. Ships are no longer able to rule the waves or rule the world through ruling the waves the way they once did. And now with these new anti-ship,
the aircraft carrier obsolete, and it's about time we start using some of them bitches.
Right. So maybe this will be the big war that takes down the American empire when the fleet gets sunk by Venezuela using relatively affordable, third generation from 20 years ago Chinese Sunburn missiles. I mean, who knows? But if it happens, we'll tell you next week on False Flag Weekly News. Meanwhile, the war in the world is being waged everywhere, including South Africa, where the U.S. is boycotting because they don't like the fact that South Africa accused Israel of genocide. And what else don't they like about South Africa? Something else.
Pretending that it's something about how they treat the Afrikaners or whatever. It's like, no, that's BS. Sorry, you're just pissed. You got your panties in a bunch because they called out your buddy for their genocide.
Well, I think that's they came up with a white genocide thing is precisely as some kind of counter to the genocide complaint at the ICC.
Yeah, they had seeded the meme earlier, but it definitely they're milking that to try to muddy the waters there because
19 out of the G20 are there, and the U.S. isn't. And so it's, throwing the American weight around in the world. It's working some places for a while, but it looks like it's heading out. How about the vax, this section of the show? This is the good news, Helen.
I was surprised to see this.
Look at this. The CDC has updated its autism and vaccines page, and now it's no longer denying that there could possibly be some link between vaccines and autism. And the usual suspects are going completely crazy. This is from the NPR site on the left and the Guardian on the right. NPR says that the CDC has revived a debunked quote unquote link between vaccines and autism. And the Guardian tells us that the CDC website change reflects RFK Jr.'s belief rather than any science.
Well, I mean, it's true that there is no study that actually says that there's no link. So the studies that they claim say that there's no link are BS. They've got massive methodological problems, as that Aaron Siri article points out. So this idea that, oh, it's been debunked. No, of course it hasn't been debunked. They just refuse to conduct a real study on it.
Right. There is actually a lot of research, and there's a bunch, there are like 40 or 50 studies that show link.
But the aluminum itself, it causes brain inflammation that's responsible for autism in a lot of kids.
Right, right. I think yeah, there are a total of I think it's 40 or 50 studies that appear to show a link between autism and vaccines, and then there are a bunch, I forget how many, that purport to claim there is no link or to prove there is no link, but they definitely did not prove the negative in those studies. But the other one, none of the studies are really big and sound enough to totally make it a slam dunk.
Yeah, the problem with what they do is that they compare vaccines that are the complete vaccines that they put on the market, and then they do vaccines without the active ingredient, but they still have all the adjuvants like the aluminum and stuff that causes the brain inflammation. So you can compare the two and claim that, oh, there's no difference, but it doesn't matter because the adjuvants are what are likely causing the brain inflammation, which is likely contributing to the autism development. So the study doesn't prove anything, and that's why they're saying that all those studies are methodologically flawed, because they refuse to conduct an actual placebo, which would just be a saline injection with the vaccines that are on the market, and then you would see a difference.
Exactly, and that's what the book Turtles All the Way Down demonstrates very lucidly. I highly recommend it. One of the best things to ever come out of Israel, alongside Gilad Atzmon and Miko Peled. That's a great book, and the two kinds of things they won't do. One, they won't do real controlled studies. So as you said, every time a new vaccine gets approved, they just test it against the old vaccine. And that itself was tested against an older vaccine. And all of these things are equally toxic. And so it's meaningless. And so they won't ever test the vaccines against a true placebo, which would be like, sugar water or whatever. It hasn't been done. And then the other thing they won't do is they won't do a large scale comparison of the vaxxed and unvaxxed populations, comparing completely unvaxxed people to vaxxed people. And why won't they do that? Well, they probably have, because it's like a no-brainer. It's in the data. All they need to do is take this data that the health insurance industry and governments already have access to and run the numbers. But they won't. And why is that? Well, they did, and they looked at what it would show, and that's it. They're not going to do it in public.
Yeah, they refused to show a side-by-side study of ones that were never even approached, or ones that culturally don't have the vaccination. They don't need to, because what they say is that, oh, we'd be depriving children who would otherwise be getting the vaccine, and because it's the standard of care, they need to have it. But no, there are plenty of groups that don't vaccinate, so you could just take that group, compare it to the other one, and then you have your study. And that's, yeah, as you said, they won't do it because they know what it'll show.
Right. And there have been lots of studies like that, just not the huge ones that would prove it 7 ways from Sunday. But there have been lots of these smaller scale studies where, like, a particular practice looks at their vaxxed patients and their unvaxxed patients and things like that. And in pretty much all of those that I'm aware of, they've come out showing a huge advantage for unvaxxed people. But not just autism, but all of these autoimmune disorders apparently are higher in the vaccine.
And the allergies, the food allergies, like peanut allergies and whatnot, like those are known to be caused by vaccinations also.
Right. So I wonder if the media is ever going to catch up on this one. Well, we got to the end of the show.
Not as long as they're funded by the vaccine companies.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, the chainsaw industry is not funding the False Flag Weekly News, that's for sure. So we can tell the truth about the Saudi Trump meeting. Okay, so that was the Arab reaction on Twitter to Trump meeting bin Salman. And the Washington Post was not all that happy about, because their journalist got chopped up alive with a chainsaw a few years ago. And this guy gave the order to do it. And now he's Trump's best buddy, and Trump is milking him. Your thoughts, Helen?
Yeah, I mean, it is funny that you can count on them to actually give a semi-honest approach to the situation, given that it was one of their guys that got cut up. But I mean, it is funny that he's like, well, I'm sure Israel would like you to have lesser quality planes than they do, but we're going to give you the good ones anyway. F-35s are not the good ones. F-35s can't fly in a thunderstorm. I mean, you're insulting them by giving them F-35s, but whatever. They're the industry standard, I guess.
Right. So with Israel and the chainsaw story on one side and the prospect of lots of money on the other side, Trump went for the money. All right. Well, I guess you could, so here's
Is it appropriate, Mr. President, for your family to be doing business in Saudi Arabia while you're president? Is that a conflict of interest? And Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you? And the same to you, Mr. President.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You're with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news. ABC fake news. One of the
But the
worst.
question is
One of the
legitimate,
worst
sir.
in the business.
The old ad hominem. And so Charlie, they asked him about they kept asking about the chainsaw story, and Trump's, things happen. Things happen.
I thought that was hilarious. I mean, like when he was having the discussion with Mamdani, he's like, "Did you not call him a fascist?" Like, don't answer that. It's okay. It's like, okay, well, you have an interesting perception of what is and is not all well in love and war, I guess.
Right, yeah. So I did write a parody of this. Bin Salman carves Trump's Thanksgiving turkey with chainsaw, and you can read about that and read about Bin Salman like chasing the journalist around the White House with the chainsaw and the leather face mask. There he is. And I guess Bin Salman actually has redesigned the Saudi flag. This is how the Saudi flag used to look with the sword. And now there it is, the new Saudi flag. All right.
You got to be proud of your accomplishments.
Okay, he's certainly proud. And finally, our very last story, I promise, the attack of the bickering space lesbians. This was frightening. You know, the "It Came from Outer Space" meme is coming at us with this bizarre object that Avi Loeb, the Israeli astrophysicist, says is an evil spaceship that might be coming to exterminate the people of Earth. So we have to worry about that. But I think the bickering space lesbians pose a larger threat to life on Earth. So what do you think about this, Helen? The bickering space lesbians, like the one in space uses the other one's charge account or bank account or something, accesses it from space. I mean, that's pretty scary.
Yeah, well, or lies about accessing it, or so that she accessed it from space. I mean, that's like the ultimate Karen move. It's like you can't even, you want to see the whole manager of like the space station. Oh no, of illegally accessing her bank. Yeah, they want to talk to the manager of space, basically, because how dare you allow them to access my bank account?
Right. I think she actually supposedly did access the bank account, but she had a right to because it was a joint bank account, because the bickering space lesbians had a joint bank account and they hadn't separated it. So anyway, whatever. They're coming. They're going to land in your neighborhood, and they're going to start bickering, and that's it. You're done for. Okay, and we're done for. So that's it for False Flag Weekly News this week. Thank you so much for coming back, Helen. You're in fine form. I hope we can keep doing it, inshallah.
Yeah, hopefully next time we'll have an article for us to discuss.
I can't wait for your next article, and I'll remind people that you're at helenofdestroy.substack.com. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
helenofdestroy.substack.com. Okay, see you next time, Helen.
Right, thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.